Tennessee and Creighton meet in the Sweet 16 with a shot at the Elite Eight on the line. Who will it be? The Vols or the Blue Jays? Head of one, I'm Chris Phillips. He's Dave Shumate. We're talking all things this Sweet 16 matchup as Tennessee and Creighton are set to do battle, guys. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. Hit that bell icon as well so you get notifications of when we go live and when we drop new video content, which is each and every single day. Also, guys, check out the podcast, which drops daily, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts. You can also find us on social media, X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you get your content. And, of course, guys, stay up to date with the latest from us, all of our March Madness coverage over at SECUnfiltered.com. The following is brought to you by our friends over at MyBookie. Guys, yours truly been on somewhat of a heater. The last day kind of affected our record, but 16-11, not bad on the opening weekend. Yours truly did that. Let's head over to mybookie.ag. Use promo code SECU. You're going to get a deposit match of up to $1,000, and let's kick the bookies' rear end this weekend in Sweet 16 and Elite 8 play. Guys, again, MyBookie, the way to go. They got props, parlays, total spreads, you name it. They got it. They also have a casino, right? And also, hey, the NCAA, they're trying to ban prop plays. Make sure you get these prop plays in before they can do that. So, mybookie.ag, promo code SECU at sign up. A deposit match of up to $1,000 will be yours. Guys, as I mentioned, joined by my co-host Dave Shumate, taking the time to talk all things Tennessee Creighton. Dave, what's going on, man? Appreciate you taking the time.
What's going on, Chris? Hey, we did the Bama one. Now it's time for the Friday night matchup with Vols and Creighton. Another great matchup. I mean, you talked about it. All these Sweet 16 matchups, even without not even talking the SEC ones, are all great ones. But specifically, the SEC ones could be kind of the matchups both these teams have could be very easy on the eyes, especially with Creighton style, similar to Alabama's. He likes to shoot from the perimeter, likes to get shots at the rim, not a lot of mid-range stuff. So I thought all year Rick Barnes had a great game plan against Alabama in both their matchups. Let's see if that carries over to the matchup in Detroit.
And, Dave, this is a great week, by the way, to get the coffee maker going because Thursday night with Bama and North Carolina, that's a late one. Tennessee Creighton is even later, folks. This game being played at Little Caesars Arena in Detroit, Michigan. Friday night, of course, a 10:09 p.m. Eastern time matchup. Dave, have fun shooting that video about midnight or so, burning that midnight oil. The game will be on TBS and or True TV. And again, the Vols and Blue Jays will do battle, guys. You look at the spread in this one, Dave, really interesting. Tennessee opened as a 3.5-point favorite, the over-under opening at 147.5. Since then, Dave, some very, very interesting live movement. The total has dropped down 4 points to 143.5. That's a significant amount on a total. Yeah. 143.5. The spread now, Tennessee still favored, but just by 2.5. So the money is coming in on Creighton. And Dave, I'll ask you this, and we have to start with this. How much of that do you think has to do with the fact that it feels like we've reached the point in March Madness where Tennessee typically chokes?
Yeah, I mean, I thought they had a great draw to get to the Sweet 16. I put it out on social media. I'd buy the city of Knoxville, everybody a drink in that. I don't know how I would have made that happen at some point. I'd have to come out with some loans. But if they didn't make the Sweet 16, as ugly as the game was against Texas, they did make it. But they're going to have to play better than they did in Texas. It's Charlotte. That game was in Charlotte. I think those first 2 round games were in Charlotte against Texas to beat Creighton. But it's not something Tennessee hasn't done this year. Now, granted, Alabama doesn't have the big guy like Ryan Kalkbrenner that Creighton and Greg McDermott and them have. But it'll be interesting to see how they run Creighton and Baylor Shireman and Trey Alexander, guys like that, off the three-point line. I think they have the guys to do it. They've shown they can do it against Alabama, another great three-point shooting team. But Tennessee's going to have to score. Somebody's going to have to step up. Creighton's drop defense. They want to bring everything in at Kalkbrenner, so they're going to leave a lot of mid-range shots. I think that leaves a big question. Can Zakai Ziegler make a bunch of those shots? Can he make a bunch of those runners? Can Santiago Vescovi do the same thing like that? And I think it's going to be a big game for Jonas Adu defensively. I mean, Tennessee's not a massively big team. They don't have their big enforcer like they did with Plavic last year. They got Jonas Adu, gives up a little bit more weight. So that will be interesting from that standpoint. So, I mean, I'm looking at it right now. Let me go to Tennessee real fast. Tennessee doesn't have a ton of massive. So, I mean, that can go on the front court. They got Jonas Adu, and that's really it. I mean, Toby Awaka at 6'8" plays bigger than that, but still, that could be an issue for something that Tennessee's not. And just turnovers. They can't be turning the ball over. But the positive thing I was looking at it earlier is Creighton doesn't force a lot of turnovers. They give up a lot of points as well. But I think how Tennessee shoots mid-range, and they're willing. So I think it's guys like Zakai Ziegler, Santiago Vescovi, Jordan Gainey, and obviously Connect, see if he can get his. But I think those big three guys, how they shoot from mid-range, their shot selection against this Creighton drop defense, I think will be key.
So let's look at the bracket, Dave, of how these teams got here. Of course, Tennessee takes down St. Peter's in their first-round game, pretty easy contest. Like you mentioned, that game against Texas was a thriller. It was low scoring. It was sloppy. But the bottom line in March is just win 62-58. Tennessee got the job done against Texas. From the Creighton perspective, they take down Akron in that first-round matchup, then had a big game against Oregon, who was a surprise winner in their first-round matchup against South Carolina. Jermaine Couisnard goes crazy. Creighton doesn't just win. They win this game by double digits, 86-73. And, Dave, again, you mentioned some things about Creighton, some things you would see. What are your biggest takeaways and challenges you think will be presented for Tennessee? Again, you look down the list. Shireman averaging 18.3 points per game. They're really balanced, by the way. Their top three scorers, Shireman, Alexander, and Kalkbrenner, I think is how you say his name.
Yeah, Kalkbrenner, Ryan.
Yeah, Kalkbrenner, 18.3, 17.7, and 17.4. So, I mean, that's a three-headed monster right there. They've also got Ashworth at 11 points per game and Mason Miller, 5.7. But your thoughts on this Creighton club? Again, this is a team that admittedly I don't think many of us has seen much of this year. I don't know if there's many folks out in SEC country that are watching much Creighton Blue Jay basketball, but from what you've seen in the tournament, what challenges will they present Tennessee?
Yeah, for SEC fans, they've faced just common opponents this year. In the SEC, Creighton played Alabama back December 16th, got the 85-82 win at home. That was the game Kalkbrenner went out with a little bit of a foot injury at the end of the first half. Alabama was up for a lot of that game. That was just a score fest. I mean, again, 85-82, both teams had scored more. But, again, they were going back and forth in that first half. But really, where Tennessee could take advantage here is Creighton's not a fantastic defensive team. They're not. They don't force a lot of turnovers. They kind of like to get in their style play, get up and down the floor, again, shoot a lot of threes, get a lot of rim shots. Bring defensively, they want to suck you down and make you try to get to the rim past Kalkbrenner. So I think from a matchup standpoint, Tennessee, I see some people liking the matchup for Creighton. I kind of like it from Tennessee if they're not – they have to be shooting well. They can't go shoot what they did in these first two games. They got to play better offensively. This is, I think, a game Connect has to play well. But like I mentioned earlier, one of those three guys, because a lot of those mid-range shots are going to be there. That's where Tennessee's going to have to make their bread and butter. And it's nothing Greg McDermott and Creighton know they're not giving up every game. You got to be willing to take them. And just for whatever reason in college basketball now, it's not really the style. People don't really like to shoot a lot of mid-range. But Rick Barnes does not tell his players to shy away from it. Again, a lot of people, even like Nate Oates, doesn't tell his players to shy away from it. It's just not a high-efficiency shot. But again, Rick Barnes, old school coach, if you're giving them that, the elbow shot within, I think that kind of plays as Zakai Ziegler, Santiago Vescovi's pace, as long as they're not passive, because they got to know, and they watch tape, they do their scouting report. They've had a couple of days now. They know it's going to be there, so I expect a confident, aggressive Tennessee team offensively. And again, the defense, Tennessee usually plays well, but again, I'm interested to see how they run them off the three-point line. Rick Barnes this year so far in his two matchups against Alabama, a similar team to Creighton in style, has done a good job managing that offense.
Dave, I have to admit, when it comes to this ball game, I cannot wait to stay up late on a Friday night and watch Dalton Connect go to work. This dude has been a walking video game all season long. Some of the performances he's put up, I think back to, what was it, the 39-point performance against Auburn earlier in the year. Like, this dude he has been absolutely electric. And we talked about, and I know there's many Tennessee fans, whether they want to admit it or not, they're coming into this matchup feeling good, but maybe a sick feeling in the stomach. Oh, God, here we are yet again. We got everything out in front of us. The path is laid to the Elite Eight. We can smell it. We can sense it. We can see the light at the end of the tunnel. But here comes. There's doubt in the background, right? That old nemesis come to haunt Tennessee fans yet again. If there's anybody who can stop that, it's a guy like Dalton Connect, who I think, for my money's worth, is the best player in college basketball.
Yeah, true bucket getter, a guy that they've had some guys who could score the basketball before, but nobody that could kind of take over the game individually, create his own shot, make tough shots. like you got to have in tournament play down the stretch, like Dalton Connect's proven throughout league play. I think this is their best opportunity to go on an extended run here under Rick Barnes. Again, winner of this game, there's a tough one probably sitting right around the corner. As long as it holds chalk, but you got Zach Edey and Purdue sitting there as well. So I think either of these matchups, whoever gets Purdue next, will just be a blast to watch on Sunday.
So, Dave, when you take a look at this game, again, we know it was a frustrating first weekend, or opening weekend, I should say, for the SEC. I think it's going to be a bounce back, though. Here you go, Dave. I think Tennessee wins. I think Tennessee covers. I think Tennessee wins by double digits. Give me the Vols 78, Creighton 63. I think Tennessee is tired of hearing about the noise of how this is the point where they're going to fall flat. This is the point where they're going to choke. I think this team is locked in. I think this team is focused. I think Dalton Connect will show up. You mentioned Jonas Adu. Keep an eye on him. He's going to play a big role in this one. These veteran guys, I think, are going to step up. There's a guy Zieglers of the world. I think Tennessee gets the job done, Dave, and I think they do advance to the Elite Eight.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be 78-70 Tennessee. I think Tennessee's going to advance as well. I think Dalton Connect has one of those games that people have been kind of putting a big microscope on, like, hey, this is Tennessee's first legit score. I think he's going to go prove that. And then, like I said, a guy, if I had to pick out of those three, give me Zakai Ziegler and probably Jordan Gainey. Is some guys that are going to take advantage of that Creighton defense. The mid-range should be there. I like Tennessee in this game. The defense travels, the tough blue-collar points, rebounding, that travels. It will travel to Detroit. Tennessee's going to be on their way to an Elite Eight matchup with a Final Four trip to Phoenix standing in their way. Big guy. We all know him. Zach Edey, most likely, if everything stands to go scratch. I say that now. It probably won't be Purdue.
Dave, with the John Calipari chatter over the last couple of days, he's returning to Kentucky next year. And again, I say that because the pressures that face these SEC head coaches, and I'm certainly not insinuating that Rick Barnes' job is on the line, but like, how important would you say is this game for Rick Barnes, just getting past this point? Because I know Tennessee fans are happy with where the program is, but the unfortunate reality is you're judged off what you do in March. And if you can't win at this time of year, fans are going to get frustrated.
Probably depends how it looks a little bit too. If it's like a complete no-show, then yeah, it's going to – but if it's like a game that even your basketball and your casual basketball fans, I should say your purists, college basketball purists and your casual basketball fans could at least appreciate, and it's back and forth because Creighton's a good team too. I think people could appreciate that. But again, you'll have your people that kind of murmur, can't get past it, kind of had a decent draw first two rounds, didn't play great. They only won because they were the higher seed, and then we get to Creighton, who's about on their level, and we just lost. I think it kind of depends how they stub their toe there. I think how it looks. I mean, from a realistic standpoint, of course, you're going to have your fanatic. It doesn't matter if they don't win. It screw how the game actually looked. A single elimination tournament once we get to the top 16 teams in the country. But I think a realistic fan will take a step back and be like, hey, if this was good basketball, it happens. Tournament, just unfortunate. But again, if it's a no-show, offense isn't isn't doing anything, Connect's not getting going, turnovers against a team like Creighton, it doesn't force a lot of turnovers. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of frustration because you look like you walked into another Sweet 16 performance not prepared.
Well, selfishly, not just I'm saying that because we're SEC Unfiltered Day, but because the sports fan in me, I really genuinely hope we do get Tennessee and Purdue. Would be a legendary matchup to watch those two squads.
Don't tell Blaine that. The Gonzaga both.
Oh, very true. Very true. Tennessee and Creighton meeting with a spot in the Elite Eights on the line. Vols and Blue Jays set to go at it. Guys, that's going to do it all for us. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. Make sure you check out the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Find us on social media, X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and of course, guys, stay up to date with all the latest March Madness coverage from us over at our website, secunfiltered.com. For Dave Shumate, I'm Chris Phillips. We appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll catch you on the other side.